really taught me things about leadership that, again, maybe it's similar to the engineering thing. You kind of have to fail on some level before you can learn, like, oh my gosh, I never want to do this ever again. And I don't even want to come close to doing that ever again. And I'm not saying that I was not, there were times when I was not the perfect emailer, even for years, even today. I don't know if anyone ever will be, because emailing is its own kind of weird, messed up art form that I don't even know how it works still. And in the time of Zoom, and again, in the time where everything is virtual, it, I guess, just becomes that much more important. But that is to say, the lesson of it was just like what I had said at the top, treat people with respect, treat people with kindness, treat people with empathy, treat people how you want to be treated. But beyond that, what is the purpose of what we're doing here? What we're doing here is to train people and to teach people. And sometimes people do really bad things. I've seen people do much worse things than what I've done in the organization. And again, like this example I gave was in some ways even pretty mild to how stupid I've been in a variety of ways. But the purpose of this is to help people and to train people and to let them go out into the world having made mistakes and learning not to do those in the real world. I've definitely been in situations where I had to sit down with someone and tell them, if you had done this in a job, I would have fired you. But I'm going to give you another chance, because that's not the purpose of what we're doing here, is purely retributive punishment or purely to get some kind of deliverable done. What we're working on here is we're trying to change the conversation. And we're also trying to develop our people. And we're also trying to give a voice to the voiceless. And if we're going to expect everyone in a school context to be perfect from the get-go, no one will ever be able to succeed. I wouldn't be able to succeed. I would have gotten kicked out of the organization that I had started a few years ago. And that's not to say that there's nothing that could ever get anyone kicked out. We've definitely had people get kicked out of UC3P. Some people have done some, unfortunately, very heinous things. But I will say that for the most part, I think people have treated other people with respect. And when they haven't, it's been a learning opportunity. You may want to wait for the ambulance.
I mean, I don't know if this is going to make the edit, but I just wanted to say that I've only been here a year as a production manager, but I've enjoyed being part of this organization and doing this work so much. And it is in no small measure because of the culture that I think you have created and led and encouraged others. Yeah, so I think you've been a great leader, and so that was a good lesson learned.
And just to piggyback a little bit, I know I've told you this before, but I find you to be like a gracious leader in that your demeanor, the way that you interact with people, you're very intentional and whatnot. So I also truly have appreciated it. It's been a great learning opportunity for me, and it's hard to say that like, oh, I've grown in all these magical ways, because it's a process. But I am excited for the next year going forward to see what does it look like for me as a second year and being a part of this organization and helping continue your legacy in a lot of different ways. So 2 thumbs up from this guy.
I think everybody who knows me knows I hate 2 phrases. The first is your legacy, and the second is UC3P is your baby. So is now the time I get to open my second beer, or...
Sorry, I take that back. Not legacy. The way you'll be remembered. Better?
You're good. I just wanted to get you guys laugh on mic so I could get that in.
Izzy wanted to say something to you.
Hey, David, this is Izzy. Just want to say thank you so much for making UC3P such a warm, fun, inclusive, and thoughtful community. So proud of the work that we've done all together and super excited for the future of the club.
Well, I love you too, Izzy. I don't know if you said that I love you, but I do love you, and I love everyone at UC3P. And everyone here is just like my family, and I say it all the time. And I have to say, sometimes we get in disagreements with our family, and that's okay too. And that's kind of what it's all about. I was thinking about this the other week, that I think my background has played a really big part in why this organization is the way that it is. And, I think now's the time to talk a little bit about my family. My family are Jewish refugees or asylees or immigrants from Iran. And they lived in a society where you can't just say whatever you want whenever you want. That's not a thing. But they came here and they found a place that had freedoms that they didn't have over there. I think that people who haven't had something appreciate something when they do find it later in life. And I can just tell you, between my mom and my grandma and my dad's side of the family and all these people who've influenced me, I never grew up feeling like I needed to censor myself. And I always grew up feeling like I was valued and loved, and that whatever I was giving was a good contribution. And I just feel the same way about everything that we do in UC3P. I feel like everyone has something to contribute. I feel like a lot of people actually who come to our organization, in a lot of ways, have felt like they've been neglected in some ways, or they haven't been able to actually express their voice. We have a lot of students actually with a series of different types of disabilities. And these people have come together and made the most phenomenal episodes. And when we cut the episode and all this other stuff, the fascinating thing about it is you would never know that there was anything that anyone else would possibly think that there was wrong. And that's really cool. That's cool when you write a script and you stick to your script. It's cool when you write a script and you don't stick to your script, but that you're able to do something in the moment and you have this kind of fluidity or whatever. And these podcasters from all different walks of life, from all different parts of the world, for example, one of our best, earliest podcasters was Meghana Chandra, and she was an Indian student or a student from India, and she just did the best interviews. Like, I can't describe to you. She was fearless and had this tenacity. And I don't even know if I've ever seen anything quite like it in any of our other podcasters since. Like, we've just had these people who've come from different parts of the world and made something amazing, like a quilt, somewhere between a quilt and a melting pot. I don't know exactly what the right metaphor would be, but Izzy, just to answer your question, I love every part of it. I love every part that everybody brings to it. And I couldn't have done it by myself. And I wouldn't have done it by myself. Maybe I would have tried and I would have failed. But it wouldn't have happened. And there was something profound about what we've all done together. And I think in the coming years, it's just going to get even better. I really believe it.
And we'll hear another one here.
Hey, it's Lawrence Warner, also known as Cerulean. I shared grad student accommodation with David. One day, he saw me with a flip phone to my ear and asked me why the hell. When he realized that I was doing it for a podcast called Flip Phone Diaries about life without a smartphone, he said, we've got a collab. And I'm so proud to feature in the UC3P main page. It's amazing what David's built there. And we may be the wackiest thing on there, but there's a lot of brilliant stuff. So congratulations to David. Congratulations on graduating. I will catch you on the flip side in the 2021 commencement.
Yo, Lawrence, it's good to hear from you, man. Flip Phone Diaries may be the weirdest thing that we've put on the main page, but no less crucial. Lawrence went all the way to, I believe, Mexico City for some kind of United Nations conference or something along those lines. Brought a Tascam, brought a wire, was able to do these really interesting recordings and talking to people all about smartphones and their impacts on people and all that stuff. And he actually had his own series and featured his episode on our podcast. So that was really amazing. It was really a good chance to work with him and with Tushar Kelko, I believe, all the way in the United Kingdom. And that kind of cross-continental impact was really cool. It was really cool to work on those episodes with the production managers for the main page at the time, Susan Pakin and Lauren Lee, who are just fantastic people, fantastic podcasters. And I just really, really enjoyed spending that time with them. I enjoyed spending that time with Lawrence. And I think what Lawrence says is true. The way that we kind of approached things was podcasting is always someone comes to you with an idea and then you want to run with it. So like I had a million ideas like what Peter was saying, but also everyone else had all these other ideas like Elaine Lee and Coco Yim came up with Naked Love and they were like, yeah, let's do a podcast about love and public policy. And now we're about to release our 6th episode of that over 3 years, which is just amazing, and having Valentine's Day specials and everything. Things I never would have been able to do, like when Jason Zukus came up to us was like, I want to do a quiz show a quiz show. Like, we had an entire other series imitating Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. That stuff was really fun. That stuff was really cool. And when people come to you with cool ideas, I think the thing you have to say is, first, yes, how do we make it happen? And when you do that, then you're able to really make something profound. If when someone comes up to you and you don't know the answer to it and you say the answer is no, but maybe we can make that work later, I think you're just not going to be able to allow people to be as creative as they possibly can be. And part of the business we're in is marrying logistical and administrative items with technical expertise, with really substantive beauty. And part of the substantive part, and also part of the technical part, and also part of the logistical part, but you see this the most apparently in the substantive part, is creativity. Coming into the studio, trying different ideas, saying, hey, like, why don't I talk into the microphone this way? Or why don't we make a podcast where we have music at the end of it? Like, Olu's coming up with this really cool episode that actually would have premiered 1 week before you heard this, called Policy Jam. And there's going to be these really cool ideas. We have a show now called Bite Size Policy. We have shows on race and intersectionality. Again, things there's no way I would have been able to do. When people came up to us and were like, hey, I want to do a podcast all about issues with Chicago. Hey, I want to do a podcast on sports and public policy. We did those things. We said yes. And some of those things didn't work out perfectly. And that's okay, because if you say yes to things in this creative context, I promise you'll be able to go really far.
Let's listen to a little story from Vishwanath.
This is Vishwanath, and I graduated from the MPP in 2019. What I'll always remember about David was the energy and the enthousiasm he had for everything UC3P related, from the initial training sessions to all of the member meetings, just all of it. So, yeah man, David, it was great, and take care.
Thanks, Vish. Oh man. Yeah, look, I love podcasting, and I think a lot of people love it too. And I love the act of creating them, and I love the act of listening to them. And I think that if we can share that joy with other people, then that's kind of what it's all about. And I can just remember before all the COVID stuff, we would be sitting at tables and sometimes people would be listening to a conversation we would be having about podcasting. I remember one time someone left and they were like, you know what? I just need to let you know I wasn't part of this conversation, but I was eavesdropping on exactly what you were saying. And I just want to let you know my roommate listens to UC3P and she loves it. And so that kind of love, it shows. That's why I tell people, you may want to practice like smiling or something in the interview, because you can feel it, when you bring that energy. It matters. And I've been thinking this for at least since I was working on the Chicago Policy Review. People would ask me, well, what articles do you want to pick to write on? And I would pick kind of controversial articles. And the reason why is I was thinking, look, if I'm not interested in what I'm writing about, I don't know why anyone would be interested in reading it. And if I'm not interested in what I'm podcasting about, I don't know why anyone would be interested in hearing it. So you have to bring the love to it. Otherwise, you're doing it for yourself, and that's fine. It's good to do. It's good to practice. Getting this kind of skill is excellent in communicating with people and that sort of thing. But part of what we're doing really is to change the public discourse. And to do that, and you bring all of yourself into it and you don't leave anything on the table, that's a really profound thing that you can do. And that's how you would really find your own voice as well.
On that note, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back soon. Stay right there.
Hi, my name is Coco Yim. You're listening to UC3P. We promise to deliver you the most thought-provoking conversations on current affairs, local culture, international relations, and more. Please rate, share, and subscribe to the University of Chicago Public Policy Podcast. And thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the U Chicago Public Policy Podcast. This is Sowmya. On my last recording with the podcast, we also have
Olu.
And we have
David.
Yay! So, in the spirit of remembering what we like to fondly call your legacy over here, we wanted to ask you a couple of quick hot takes. So, no stress. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind and don't worry about the repercussions. Law school or Harris?
I never worry about the repercussions. Harris, 100%.
Wow. Okay. Bose or Sony?
I think Bose.